Thank you for tuning into podcast number 51 of Sports Talk with JWock. I am your host, JWock, and since we've hit the end of the regular season in the NBA, I thought I'd give my take on who I think is going to make it the furthest in the NBA playoffs, and after that, I'm going to be giving my end of season awards predictions on who I think will win the big awards like the MVP. So if you want to hear more about that, make sure to stay tuned. Once again, thank you for tuning into podcast number 51 of Sports Talk with JWock. And we've hit the end of the regular season, and it's postseason time. It's time to talk about the playoffs. It's an exciting time as an NBA fan, even if your team unfortunately didn't make it. I still think it's a great time to just be able to sit back and watch some really good basketball from teams that were a lot better than yours. Sorry, that was kind of rude. But anyways, let's get started. So I'm going to put up a little graphic of the bracket basically to where you guys can get a little visual of that. But let's kind of start with the play-in tournament since that's what we're going to see first going into the postseason. So let's start with the Western Conference. We've got the number 9 Kings going against the number 10 Mavericks. I personally think the number 9 Kings will get this done. I think this number 10 Mavericks team just has a lot of question marks. Anthony Davis is coming back to health. Gafford's coming back to health. Derek Lively's, I think, coming back to health, but this Kings team is definitely, I think they're going to be able to pull it off. I think DeMar and Zach will be able to get that job done, as well as Sabonis. I got the Kings winning that. And then we got the number 7 Warriors going against the number 8 Grizzlies. And essentially, call me crazy, I think the number 8 Grizzlies are going to win this. I think this Grizzlies team is kind of undervalued by a lot of NBA fans in general. I think this Grizzlies team is criminally underrated. They easily could have been a top 3 team, realistically. This team's relatively healthy, and I still am very high on this Grizzlies team. I'm not saying the Warriors are bad, but, Jimmy Butler did come down with a little bit of an injury at the end of the game when Kawhi Leonard kind of need him in the kind of quad and knee area. So that could definitely be something to look out for. And that's mainly also why I have the Golden State Warriors losing that game, which, by the way, before I go further into this play-in tournament talk, I'm going to explain to you kind of how the play-in tournament works. So basically we have 2 games where it'll be the number 7 seed versus the number 8 seed. And then we'll have the number 9 seed versus the number 10 seed. So the number 7 and 8 seed will play against each other, and whoever wins that game will essentially be the number 7 seed in the playoffs, and then whoever loses that game will then go on to play the winner of the number 9 and 10 seed game. And then whoever wins between the loser of the 7-8 seed game and the winner of the 9-10 seed game, so whoever wins that game will then go on and be the number 8 seed in the playoffs. So I hope that makes sense, so you guys have a little bit of a better representation of how the play-in tournament works. But anyways, we would have then the Kings, who won the 9 and 10 seed game, going against the loser of the 7 and 8 game, which I predict the Warriors to do. I actually think the Warriors will win this game. I think the Kings, they've really struggled since they've traded for Zach LaVine and initially just overall traded De'Aaron Fox away. The Sacramento Bulls, a lot of people say, just because they're very similar of a team now, roster-wise. I think the Warriors will win this game, and then they'll end up being the number 8 seed in the playoffs, which, by the way, I'm recording this on Monday, April 14th, so by the time you're watching this, a lot of the play-in games will probably be over, so I could be very wrong about this, but we'll see. I like to do these predictions before it all happens, so this is just straight-up predictions, so we'll see how good or bad I did. But let's go on to the Eastern Conference. We have the number 9 seed Bulls going against the number 10 seed Heat. And I actually think the number 9 seed Bulls are going to win this game. The Bulls have lost to the Heat the last 2 years in the play-in tournament to make the playoffs. And I think this is a different year. This Bulls team just has a different type of feel. When I'm watching this team, they're a lot different than the past couple of years. This team's young. This team's hungry. They've got nothing to lose. I think the Miami Heat are definitely kind of all over the place. They can either be really good or really bad. And the Bulls have been pretty successful against the Heat this season. I think I'm going to bet on that chance that the Bulls are going to win that game. And then we got the number 7 Magic going against the number 8 Hawks. I personally have the number 7 Magic winning this game. I think the Hawks are a very good team. They have a lot of talent, but the problem with that team is they really lack they're really missing Jalen Johnson since he's now out for the season due to injury. And I think the Magic's wings, Franz Wagner, Paulo Banchero, are really going to be able to carry this team to be able to win, and therefore making them the number 7 seed going into the playoffs. And then finally, we have the number 9 seed Bulls going against the loser of the number 7-8 game, which is the Atlanta Hawks. I have the Chicago Bulls winning this. The Bulls are making the playoffs for the first time in a couple of seasons. Since essentially the first year they got Lonzo Ball. Ignore that light. I don't know if it's going off for you guys on camera, but it keeps going off on my end, and it's really obnoxious. But anyways, yeah, I think the Bulls will win this game. I think Josh Giddey has really emerged into a star, a future star, I guess I should say. Kobe White has been playing his best basketball. They have a great rookie in Modest Buzelis and great great players built around them. Kevin Huerter, who's actually rejuvenated his jump shot. He's been playing really well for the Bulls since he got traded from Sacramento. So I got the Bulls going to the playoffs to be the number 8 seed. So now we got the actual playoff race. And this is going to be an interesting playoff, just playoffs in general. I think this is going to be really fun. I think there's some really good matchups at the first round of the playoffs, which makes it super fun to watch. So let's start off with the Western Conference. I'm going to go through all of the Western Conference, and then we're going to go to the Eastern Conference right afterwards. So I have the number 1 Thunder going against the number 8 Warriors. I think this is going to be a very fun series to see the young Oklahoma City Thunder team going against a very well-coached veteran Golden State Warriors team with Steph Curry, Draymond Green, 2 proven champions, and Jimmy Butler, a great performer in the playoffs, a player that's helped lead his teams to a lot of big upsets, especially one notably against the Celtics a couple years back when he was still in Miami. I still think the Thunder will win this series. I think they're going to win this series in about 5-6 games, and they'll move on to the second round. Then we've got a really fun matchup with the Nuggets and the Clippers, the number 4 and 5 seed. And I personally think the Nuggets are still going to pull this off. I don't think you can, bet against the Joker, Nikola Jokic. This Nuggets team, I know they fired their head coach. This could be a little weird. David Adelman, I think that's the interim head coach right now. I don't know, he's not the greatest coach, but I still think he's going to be able to get the job done against this Clippers team. This Clippers team, though, they are on fire. Kawhi Leonard's looking like prime Kawhi again. James Harden is looking like prime James Harden almost. But honestly, I just don't know if they're going to be able to compete in a 7-game series with the Nuggets. But I do think this series will go to 7 games. But I do think the Nuggets will pull it off because they will have that home court advantage. Then we have the number 3 Lakers versus number 6 Timberwolves. I think this is probably one of the most debated series in the playoffs this year. I think this series could go either way. I think the Lakers could either sweep the Timberwolves, or I think this series could go to 7. I personally think this series is going to go to 6, and the Lakers are going to win it. I think Anthony Edwards is going to make a run, man. I think this Timberwolves team is hungry. I just still have a lot of question marks with how Julius Randle fits on the Timberwolves, and there's been a lot of rumors about how they're already trying to move on from him. So a lot of question marks there, and I just think the Lakers with Luka and LeBron are not going to be able to get first round bounced right away. And then we've got the final matchup in the Western Conference for the first round, and that is the Rockets versus Grizzlies. I think the Rockets will be able to win this series, but it's going to be a lot harder than people think. This Grizzlies team is criminally underrated, and I think this series will literally go to 7 games. I think the Rockets will pull it off. I think Jalen Green's going to take that big step forward. Fred VanVleet's a good, crafty veteran. Same with Dylan Brooks going against his former team in Memphis, but I do think the Rockets are going to win this series. So we got the second round now where we have the number 1 seeded Thunder going against the lowest seed going into the next round, which is the number 4 Nuggets, which is crazy to say. I do unfortunately see Nikola Jokic and the Nuggets losing this series. I think the Thunder are going to be hungry this offseason or this postseason, and they're gonna be rolling throughout the playoffs, and I think they're gonna be able to beat the Nuggets in about 6 games. I think Jokic and Murray are definitely gonna be putting up a big fight, but man, I don't know who's gonna stop this Thunder team. I'm just saying, but you'll see soon. And then we have the number 3 Lakers going against the number 2 Rockets. Another really fun series to watch. I think the Lakers are going to win this series. I think this Rockets team, this is going to be a series where we're going to see the Rockets go, we are one piece away, and then they're going to end up probably trying to trade for a player like Kevin Durant or Devin Booker to be able to have that like final chess piece to be able to go, okay, now we really can compete in the finals. Let's do this kind of thing. So, but I do think the Lakers will win this series in about 5-6 games. Next, we have the conference finals now, where it is the number 1 seeded Thunder going against the number 3 seeded Lakers. And I see the number 1 seeded Thunder winning this series. I think LeBron and Luka will make it close. This will be a 7-game series. There's a lot of like late game series that I think this whole playoffs is going to end up being, but I don't know if that made sense at all. But anyways, I think the Thunder will win this. I think Shea's going to just go crazy. They've added some really good pieces this offseason. I really like their team and how they're structured. So I think the number 1 seeded Thunder are going to make the NBA Finals. And let's move down to the Eastern Conference now and give my predictions. And these might be a little quicker because I think it might be a little less intense, but let's go. We got the number 1 Cavaliers going against the number 8 Bulls. This isn't even going to be a series. I'm a Bulls fan, and it hurts me to say that this is going to be a boring series to watch. I'm going to watch every single game because I'm a big Bulls fan, and obviously I'm going to root for my team, but the Bulls are probably going to lose in 4 or 5. I think maybe they could pull off 1 game, but they probably won't. I am going to predict that the Cavs would sweep the Bulls to go into the second round. This next series is an interesting one. We've got the number 4 Pacers going against the number 5 Bucks. The big question about this series is, how is Damian Lillard's health going to affect this series? I think if Damian Lillard is still a little kind of getting back into basketball shape, this could be bad for the Bucks. But overall, I'm actually going to predict the Bucks winning this series in about 6 games. I think this is going to be close. Halliburton's been playing great basketball. Pascal Siakam's just an excellent player. But I do think this Bucks team will be able to pull it off. I know they're not good with Kuzma, but I still think they should be able to win this series. We've got the number 3 Knicks versus number 6 Pistons. This Pistons team has had an excellent story. Very fun. Going from a bottom half team to a playoff team in a matter of a season. But I do think this is where the story ends for them, and the New York Knicks will overall win this series in about 5 games. And then we have the number 2 Celtics going against the number 7 Magic, where I have the Celtics winning this in about 4. I think the Magic were a very solid team in the playoffs last year going against the Cavs, kind of giving the Cavs a little bit of a fit. But I think this Celtics team is very, very poised, and I think they're ready to go for another year to try to go back-to-back as champions. So now we got the second round where we got the number 1 Cavaliers going against the number 5 Milwaukee Bucks. I think the Cavs will win this series in about 6 games. I think Giannis, he's going to put up his fight, but you're going against a very good big man duo in Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen, and Donovan Mitchell is unstoppable in my opinion. He's a very good player. He's proven that he could be a great, that kind of X factor in the playoffs. So I think the Cavs win this in about 5 or 6. And then we have the Knicks versus the Celtics, where I have the Celtics winning this series as well. The Knicks, they're just an interesting team. I think they could definitely put up a fight. I think this will go in 7 games. I think Brunson's going to be able to help lead the team, as well as Karl Anthony Towns. But the Celtics team, I don't know how to explain it. They're just built. They're built correctly. They don't have crazy, too much star power, but they don't have, bottom half, trash depth. They're just a perfectly built team, in my opinion. They're just, or not perfectly, but they're very close to being just, your ideal championship level roster. So, I have the Celtics winning that. And then we have the conference finals. It's the 1 and 2 matchup, the battle of the heavyweights. We got the Cavs versus the Celtics. The Cavs had a very good record. but I think the road ends here for the Cavs. A very good season overall, but I think the Celtics win this, and they'll be going against the Oklahoma City Thunder in the NBA Finals. So we got the Celtics Thunder in the finals, and this is going to be an interesting one. This took me a while to figure out who I really want or who I predict will win this finals. But overall, I ended up coming to conclusion that I think the Boston Celtics will win the NBA Finals for this 2024-2025 season. And I think this will probably go to a 6-7 game series as well. So a lot of 6-7 game series is overall in the playoffs. But that is my predictions. I'm going to put up one more graphic of just basically the filled out graphic of how I have the playoff bracket. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know your guys' predictions on who you think will win the finals, and if I was incorrect, or if you think I was incorrect about any of these picks. So yeah, drop that down below in the comments, and we will go to the end of season awards right after this. And now we are on the final topic of podcast number 51, where I'm going to be giving my end of season award predictions. Basically, I have about 6 awards that are given out that are basically pretty typical, the pretty common awards that are out there. I know there's like Clutch Man of the Year award and there's the Hustle award. I'm not doing those ones. I personally feel like those are kind of like, all right, like cool. Like people see that you got the award, okay. I don't think you can really put that on like a resume or like the player's career at the end of their career and be like, yeah, he's like a 3-time Hustle Player of the Year. Like, cool. Like, I don't think anybody's looking at that like really impressed with that. Or, I mean, it could be, I guess. But anyways, so basically I have 6 awards. It's going to be Coach of the Year, 6th Man of the Year, Most Improved Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year, and then obviously the MVP, the Most Valuable Player. So let's start off with the Coach of the Year, and I'm going to be giving an honorable mention as well because I do think a lot of these races were very close. So for the Coach of the Year, I have the Detroit Pistons head coach JB Bickerstaff as the Coach of the Year, with an honorable mention of Kenny Atkinson, the Cleveland Cavaliers coach. But JB Bickerstaff, I think, definitely deserves this award. The Detroit Pistons under Monty Williams, who got a massive contract to coach the Pistons last season, went 14-68. This team was horrible. They set a record for most losses in a row, like a loss streak or whatever it was. I don't remember the number it was, but it was bad, like as you could tell from the record. And under JB Bickerstaff in one season, they are now 44-38. That is a 30-win increase for the Detroit Pistons. There is no doubt in my mind that JB Bickerstaff has turned this franchise around. Cade Cunningham has also been playing great basketball, but he's had JB Bickerstaff, they've also added some good pieces like Tobias Harris, Malik Beasley, Tim Hardaway Jr., players like that. They also drafted Ron Holland. But like JB Bickerstaff has been able to get this young group to work together and play good team basketball. And the Pistons, now they are a top 6 lock in the playoffs, and they could definitely be making a run. Unfortunately, they have to play the Knicks, but this Pistons team, this is just an incredible story. I think it's super cool to be able to see how the Pistons have turned their franchise around in literally one season, and all it took was really one coach. But yeah, that's who I have for Coach of the Year, so shout out JB Bickerstaff. Then I have the 6th Man of the Year award. And I'm giving this to Peyton Pritchard of the Boston Celtics. I think an honorable mention would be Ty Jerome of the Cleveland Cavaliers. There are other players that you could put, debate as honorable mentions, but I think Ty Jerome deserves to be up here as an honorable mention. But anyways, Peyton Pritchard averaged 14.3 points per game, 3.8 rebounds, 3.5 assists. He had 0.9 steals per game, so basically 1 steal per game. He shot 47.2% from the field and 40.7% from the 3. Peyton Pritchard was just an excellent player to come off the bench. He's definitely that like player that you can rock at the end of the games for the Boston Celtics if needed be. And, there's a lot of rumors that the Celtics could be maybe looking to move on from Drew Holiday this offseason, especially to open up some cap space. And I think Peyton Pritchard is just an excellent player to be able to fill in that role. He's probably a starter on majority of NBA teams if he wasn't on the Celtics. So shout out to Peyton Pritchard for winning Sixth Man of the Year, according to me. Most Improved Player of the Year. This is definitely an interesting award. It's a weird award. I think there's some players that do deserve it more than others that end up winning the award. But overall, I do think Cade Cunningham is going to be voted as Most Improved Player. While I don't necessarily agree with that, I do think he will win that. And if you don't know what team Cade Cunningham's on, he's on the Detroit Pistons. He's averaging 26.1 points per game, which last season he averaged 22.7. He's averaging 6.1 rebounds, which last year was 4.3 rebounds. He's averaging 9.1 assists, and last year was 7.5. He's averaging 0.8 blocks per game, which last season was 0.4. 1 steal per game, which last season was 0.9, so basically the same. He's shooting 46.9% from the field, which last season was 44.9%. And then three-pointer, he basically had the same at about 35.5% from the three-point line. Cade Cunningham, oh, and by the way, I forgot to mention, the honorable mention I would say would be Dyson Daniels from the Atlanta Hawks. Cade Cunningham, turned this, not just his, overall career around by helping himself just play significantly better, going from all-star, borderline all-star status to he's on his way to becoming a future superstar in the NBA. And he's not just turned his own career around, but he's turned his franchise, the franchise he's playing on, their franchise has been turned around as well. As this Detroit Pistons team is now in the playoffs, and they are playing their best basketball that I've seen in a long time for the Pistons. So shout out to Cade Cunningham. Let's keep going. So Defensive Player of the Year, I actually have Evan Mobley winning this, the power forward for the Cleveland Cavaliers. And I have 2 honorable mentions for this. Draymond Green for the Golden State Warriors, and then Dyson Daniels for the Atlanta Hawks. But I do overall think Evan Mobley will win this. If I were to vote, I would probably put Dyson Daniels, but I do predict that Evan Mobley will win this. Evan Mobley's defensive stats, he averaged 1.6 blocks per game, 0.9 steals per game, and then he had a defensive rating of 106.8. Evan Mobley was definitely a player that I think his stats could be a little boosted because you have Jarrett Allen also playing alongside you. But overall, Evan Mobley, you can't, take the fact away that he is an excellent defender, and he had a great season overall. And then we've got the Rookie of the Year, a very awesome award. I think this year, this rookie class in general has proved a lot of people wrong. A lot of people, I think, were kind of downplaying this rookie class, but this rookie class has been pretty good. And I think the winner or the Rookie of the Year this season will be Stephon Castle of the San Antonio Spurs. And then I think a good honorable mention would be Zachary Ricochet from the Atlanta Hawks. You could also say, if Jared McCain never got hurt, he probably could have won it, but shoulda, woulda, coulda. We're living in the present here, not the past. Or I don't know, never mind. I'm going to stop saying that. But anyways, Stephon Castle averaged 14.7 points per game, 3.7 rebounds, 4.1 assists, 0.3 blocks, 0.9 steals. He shot 42.8% from the field and 28.5% from the three-point line, I believe. Yeah, from the three-point line. I put free throw on my notes, but that would have been real bad. Stephon Castle had a very good season. He was a very intriguing prospect going into the draft, helping lead UConn to a back-to-back national championship. He didn't win the first one, but he definitely helped lead as a freshman the second one. Stephon Castle has been kind of the most consistent rookie all season. He's been an excellent player. It also helps when you're playing against or playing under a very good veteran point guard in Chris Paul. And now he has De'Aaron Fox on his team, who unfortunately had a season-ending injury as well, like Wemby. I think we could have seen the Spurs team in the playoffs, and it would have been really cool to see Stephon Castle, but unfortunately, like I said, the Spurs have hit some kind of the injury bug, especially with Wemby and De'Aaron Fox. But yeah, shout out to Stephon Castle, proving this rookie class wrong. This rookie class overall had a really strong rookie season for a lot of these players. And then finally, the big award, one of the most debated awards this season, specifically the MVP, aka the Most Valuable Player award, where it's a battle between two players, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Nikola Jokic. This has torn the NBA for months now. There's been so much debate going on whether, is Jokic going to be the MVP or Shai? And I think, a lot of people have been playing, do wins account to being the most valuable player, or should that just account to your team's better, but that doesn't mean that you're more valuable? I think there's a lot of question marks we could put. I personally think for MVP, you got to have, great stats, obviously, but you got to have, how good are you compared to, if you were on your team, would your team still be relatively successful? Obviously, they're not going to be as good, but would they be okay? I think the Nuggets without Jokic would be a play-in tournament at best, a play-in tournament team at best. And then with the Thunder, it's pretty similar. I think it's pretty similar, but I do think this Thunder team would be slightly better than the Nuggets. I do think Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren would be able to help lead this team. You've got young guys like Aaron Wiggins that would be able to step up as well. Isaiah Joe. But overall, I don't think that this player deserves to get MVP, but I do think he will get voted as MVP, and that is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. That is who I predict will be MVP. I personally think Jokic deserves it more, but I do think there is such a thing as voter fatigue, and a lot of these media members that are voting for MVP are definitely going to be basing it off of how successful their teams have been. And if I were just to look at the standings, the Thunder obviously were the number one seed in the West and the number one team in the NBA, sitting at 68-14. And then the Nuggets were 50-32, sitting fourth in the Western Conference. That is why I personally think a lot of people are going to vote for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and that is why I predict he will win it. But shout out to Nikola Jokic. You definitely deserve MVP, but I don't think they'll give it to you. And I think it's going to be kind of a similar scenario as it was when Joel Embiid won it a couple years back. But Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, don't get me wrong, has had a great season. He averaged 32.7 points per game, 5 rebounds, 6.4 assists, 1 block per game, 1.7 steals per game, 51.9% from the field. He shot that. And then he also shot 37.5% from the three. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I saw this graphic yesterday or a couple days ago where they basically compared Shai's MVP season stats side by side with James Harden's MVP season stats a couple years back. And Shai actually clears James Harden in almost every single category. And I believe he's led the team to more wins. So Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, don't get me wrong, he is that guy. He has been unbelievable this season. And I do, like I said earlier, I do think Jokic deserves it. But, I mean, if Shai wins it, I'm not going to be super mad about it like some people would be. But anyways, let me know your guys' predictions on who you think will win MVP and just all of these end-of-season awards. But anyways, that's going to be the end of podcast number 51 of Sports Talk with JWock. If you guys want to check me out on any social media platform, check me out on Instagram at sportstalkwith_JWock3. Facebook, you can check me out on Sports Talk with JWock. We're very inactive on Facebook, so I'm just telling you right now, if you're relying on Facebook, it's probably not going to be the best source. You can check me out. You can listen to this episode on Spotify if you would like at Sports Talk with JWock. If you're listening on Spotify, you could check me out on YouTube at Sports Talk with JWock. TikTok, once again, Sports Talk with JWock as well. And then I am now on X. You can either search up Sports TLKWJWock or just Sports Talk with JWock. It's a lot easier just to type in Sports Talk with JWock. I'm still working on the X account as well, but you can always check me out on those. Also, I have a little recommendation or a little bit of a thing that I wanted to ask you guys. Should I make a Sports Talk with JWock shirt, and would you wear them? I am maybe thinking of designing a shirt. I've had, my uncle has actually given me a great idea on potentially doing that. So if you guys want me to do that as well, I think I'm going to probably make them regardless. But if you guys want to make them, or not make them, wear them, message me on Instagram and tell me, and maybe I could get a shirt for you. Tell me your shirt size or whatever, and I can maybe try to make one for you. But first, I got to kind of figure out the design and work from there. But anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning into another episode of Sports Talk with JWock. This was podcast number 51. We're just cruising along now. And I thank you all, and I hope you all have an amazing week and a happy Easter to everyone. I won't be active for that, but I might make a graphic on Instagram, but who knows. But happy Easter. He is risen. He is risen indeed. Alleluia. And I hope you all have an amazing week. God bless.